I'm in the process of building out a brand new 6-unit rack you can see right back here, and the team at Phenyxpro kindly sent over the PTM-22 2B for my wife and I to try out. I'm almost completely stoked with it. There's one little issue. Let's get into it. But first, what is the deal with these, and how are these like half the price of the competition? What are we sacrificing to get that price down so low? If you've been shopping around, you know that this unit runs for about $250 at the time of making this video. I will put links down below to all the most updated pricing, and that gets you like a full dual channel system with 2 body packs. And when you consider that the Shure PSM-300 is like $700 and the Sennheiser IEW EM5Gs are like $1,000 for one channel. This is a dual channel for like $250. It's kind of crazy. We'll dive deeper into the comparisons and some of those cost savings in just a second, but let's talk about what comes in the box. The box itself is a decent carrying box, and inside you have the transmitter, 2 belt pack receivers, AA batteries, the power brick, BNC extenders, we'll talk about that in just a second, rubber feet, rack ears, some rack accessories, and some of the worst headphones that I've ever used in my entire life. Aside from the jankiest headphones ever, this box comes absolutely loaded with all the accessories that you might need, which is really awesome that they include so much. I just wish they didn't include the headphones because it kind of brings down the perceived value a little bit. Like, just don't throw them in. Don't even try to use them. They sound so bad. Now, in terms of build quality, everything feels okay, I would say. The rack feels pretty good, but the buttons do have a little bit of wiggle to them. The knobs have a little bit of wiggle to them. I would give them like an okay at best. The body packs do advertise a metal chassis, but they do feel quite plasticky, and even the battery door doesn't really inspire confidence. It feels similar to what you'd expect with the Sennheiser units, but just a little bit plasticky. Now, as I mentioned, this unit offers 2 completely separate monitor mixes. So this is great for like a duo or for a small band that wants to have 2 independent mixes. I do want to mention though that the inputs are 1/4 inch TS, not TRS. So you're working with an unbalanced mono per channel. And even though the jacks are labeled left and right input, it does sum that within the box and send you a mono signal to your headphones. I will say though, for most applications, a mono mix is totally fine. If you're working with a big band that you just need a lot of space in your mix, a stereo mix is definitely nicer, but it's kind of a nice to have, not a need to have, in my opinion at least. One great thing about this unit is that it's totally expandable, so you can attach multiple body packs to the same transmitter and the same frequency even. So you could have mix 1 for your drummer and your bass player, and you can have mix 2 for everyone else, for instance, or however you want to configure it. In fact, they even sell a PTM-22 4B, but still with 2 transmitters. So you can choose how you want to set those up, whether it's 3 on one channel or 2 on one channel. It's totally up to you. Okay, let's move on to the sound quality of these, and this is where things get a bit nuanced. All right, so I got my rack set up for the very first time here. I have aux 1 and aux 2 sent into inputs 1 and 2 on the Phenyxpro. Now, I got this all set up. I got some custom cables that I made up. Like, I got this all wired perfectly the exact way I want it. I flicked it on, and there's like a ton of noise, which kind of sucks. A lot more hissy than I was expecting, and a lot more hissy than I think is like acceptable. So I messaged Phenyxpro and said, hey, ton of hiss with these. What's the deal with that? And they said, can you send us some audio samples? So here I am recording some audio samples. I'm gonna bring you along for the ride. I took all of those tests that we recorded, brought them into iZotope on my computer, and ran some tests to determine the noise floor of each of those different recordings. And interestingly enough, they were all within about 2 decibels of one another. So that's well within the margin of error of the test that I was doing. So I'm gonna shake that up to being that they all have the same noise floor. It must be an issue with my headphones. And I swapped the cable to an older cable that I had that didn't fix the issue. And then I tested out some other headphones, and none of the other headphones had this issue. So I figured this must be an impedance mismatch between my headphones and the body pack. So I sent all of these findings over to Phenyxpro, and they kind of confirmed my suspicions. I sent your question to our product developer, and he told me that you could use a headphone with higher impedance and that could solve the problem. I hope this can help you. Have a nice day. But here's the thing. These are my really, really nice custom molded triple driver in-ear monitors. These are freaking nice. These cost more than 2 of this entire in-ear monitor system. I like these. I want to use these. I don't want to use a different set of headphones. So that issue alone has me looking to the Shure PSM-300s as a replacement for these. I just don't think that I can have these if they can't deliver the audio that I need to my custom in-ears. Now, unfortunately, there's no way that I can show you that noise floor because it's literally an acoustic issue coming out of my headphones. I could put like a microphone in front of my headphones and then play some, it'd be really hard to show you that. Now, I'll also say that the noise floor isn't hugely noticeable. Like if you're playing in a rock band, you're probably not going to hear it. Like your ears might get a little bit more tired. It's probably not going to be an issue for most people. It's just like my wife and I, we play acoustic duo, literally playing like Norah Jones and stuff. So like there's no music to sort of overpower that noise floor. So you just hear that hiss constantly. And I will say, playing in theater for the past decade, I've used these a bunch of times with the Sennheiser units, and I never had any noise issue at all. And this is unfortunately where I think that the compromises that they've made to keep the cost down really start to show through. Impedance mismatches and cheap headphone amplifiers tend to be pretty common with more inexpensive equipment. But let's go ahead and talk through the transmitter. So on the front here, we have a power on and off. We have a channel volume, which gives you 40 decibels of range. We also have a pad on the back if you're getting too much level at the front, but we'll cover that in just a second. Next up, we have our group and channel buttons. Now, channel 1 is grouped 1 to 5 and channel 2 is grouped 6 to 10. And then each group within there has 10 separate channels to choose from. So 50 available frequencies per transmitter that you can cycle through. We have an LCD display here, which shows the levels. And then at the top, it shows mono and line. And then the sync button. And this is really awesome. There's no menu diving. You don't have to go diving through a menu to find the sync and then find the right channel and press go. You basically just turn on your receiver, put it in front of the IR sensor, press sync, and within like 2 seconds, they're synced. Works perfectly every time. It's super, super simple. Now, if we move over to the back, let's work from the middle out here. So we have our antenna quick release BNC. Now this is great that these are the quick release and not the threaded BNCs, because at the end of a gig, you can just quarter twist and pull them off and they just come off. We have antenna extenders that came in the box. So if you want to extend the signal around to the front of the rack, you can do that. I've actually added a faceplate to the back of the rack so that I can just extend them out the back. This just works better for me, but it's nice to have those antenna extenders that come with it. We have our 12 dB pad for some extra input control. And then we have inputs left mono and right. And just as I mentioned, it is going to sum those to mono before it sends it to your receiver. And then we have a loop out, and you can kind of think of this as like a throughput. This is in line with what the more expensive units will offer, which is great. And basically this will allow you to patch your system into a monitor send. So you can have your in-ears and you can also have floor wedges or something like that. This is great, but one thing to consider is that because these are unbalanced, you just want to be careful with the length of cable going to the speaker afterward or to an amplifier, because it is unbalanced. You may pick up some noise along the way. And lastly, we have power. You plug it in, it turns on. So this has just about everything you need to get up and go, which is really awesome. I do wish that it was XLR IO on the back. I know the Sennheiser units are XLR. I think the Shure units are balanced TRS. So in what ways do these stack up against some of the competition? Well, there are a few different options that you can use for in-ears. Like you can obviously just go with something like this. This is the Behringer PM1 mixer. You just plug your headphones into the top, plug an XLR into the bottom, and you basically just get a direct feed off your board. And we did talk about the X5 units in a previous video, which sort of begs the question, how does this improve upon what we had with the X5 units? It comes down to a few things. One thing that I really like about the Phenyxpro is that you can swap batteries and it's just normal AA batteries. So I can bring a tray of them. I can run to a variety store and pick up a few more batteries if they die, versus the X5 has an internal battery. So you do have to remember to charge this before a gig. And then the other issue is that because this is an internal battery, it's going to degrade over time. 3 years from now, I'm going to be getting like 60% of my battery life. Who knows? Another big thing is that the range on these is going to be significantly better. Because it's a UHF signal, you're going to get a lot better reception in big events where there's a lot of people. So that's sort of how it steps up over like the more budget options. But how does it compare against the Pro options? There are a lot of features that come down the pipe when you're talking of upgrading to like the Shure and Sennheiser units, things like diversity antennas, being able to control multiple transmitters with an app, with like a dedicated app where you just say auto assign and they all go. Auto scan is another thing that some of the more expensive units will do. They will look for the cleanest signal and just whoop, 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 put it on automatically. So there's quite a few features that come with these more expensive units. Stereo also is another thing that you get with more expensive units. So who is this for? Well, I would say duos that are not using custom molded in-ears. Small bands, absolutely. These are going to be awesome for small bands like rock bands, bar bands. If you're playing in a weekly bar gig, these are going to be fantastic for you. And who should spend more money? I would say anyone who is maybe like a professional touring musician who wants some of the additional features like the auto scan, the balanced IO, the better quality headphone amplifiers, just a few features that you'd expect with a more pro rig. I would say the bottom line is if you've been eyeing in-ears for a little while, but maybe holding off because of the price, this is a fantastic gateway drug. Of course, if you have any questions about the Phenyxpro, hit me up down in the comments below, and I hope you're having a great day. Later.